Hello everyone, this is Dumb Old Dad bringing you another video. Today I wanted to talk to you about what's been going on in my life. I know that I did a bunch of videos about my challenges with cancer. I have melanoma cancer and I've been fighting it, and I've had a number of surgeries, and I'll leave a link down in the description of what some of my old videos that I did and, my progress. But I thought I would give you an update on what has been happening in my life. So I had a surgery about a year ago. They found a couple of bumps in my thigh. They decided instead of, doing something, they just decided they're just going to go in and cut out the spots in my thigh. I'll show you where they were. So here's my leg. They're about right here. So they cut my leg open probably this far, a strip, and cut out all of the tumor. And I only felt like one bump. It felt like maybe, the very end of that, like that big. And so we're like, okay, well then just cut it out and hopefully that'll be it and it'll be over again and I won't, that'll be the last of the cancer. But they decided, because it has come back, it started, down in my calf, and I had some of the cancer that went up into my lymph nodes up here in my hip area. And so this was some cancer cells that had traveled from my calf up into there, and it stopped about halfway because all my lymph nodes had been removed. So because it had been traveling and it stopped, it just started to grow right where it stopped. So it stopped right between my knee and my hip. And so they went in, they cut it out, and they took out the cancerous nodule that was there, a tumor, I guess you could say, and found out that there were a couple other tumors in there, so they removed those. Once that was done, they recommended that I started to do immunotherapy. And to me, immunotherapy was kind of like the last-ditch effort. This is the last thing you can do to make sure that, you get the cancer and it goes away. So in January of this year, 2019, I started doing immunotherapy drugs, where they actually put an IV in my arm, and every month I would go in and I would have this immunotherapy drug. And really, I didn't get sick from immunotherapy. It's not like chemotherapy where you lose your hair and stuff, even though I just cut my hair today, actually. It's a little short. So I went a few months, 3 months, and started to see these small little blue dots appearing on my leg. And I just thought, it's probably from the surgery. It's probably just, bruising or something, because bruises are kind of blue looking. But when I went back to the Huntsman Center in March, because that was my first checkup, was in March, they said those blue spots are cancer spots. It's melanoma starting to form. And so they said, well, it looks like immunotherapy is not working for you. It is not curing your cancer. And all of a sudden I felt like, this last ditch effort of something I can do that will solve cancer is gone. I don't have that option anymore. Immunotherapy did not work. And so I really felt like, now what do we do? If cutting out the melanoma cancer didn't work and it kept growing, and immunotherapy didn't work and it's still growing, what's going to stop it? I don't know what's going to stop it. How am I going to stop this thing? And it got really scary again. And I mean, it's normal, it's a regular size scary, but so I'm like, what am I going to do? So, of course, everybody's been praying for me and everybody's been fasting for me, and they put my name in the temple. And there's been so many really awesome people that have been praying for me and everything. And I've had blessings. And I just felt like I was losing, even though I really didn't feel bad. I really wasn't sick. And so on the way home from there, I was just praying, of course, and pondering, what do I do next? What should I be doing? And I still remember I was by Snowville, Utah, and I remember the thought came to me, vegan, that I've got to do something. I've got to become a vegan. And so that was my only idea of what to do next. So I immediately called back to Twin Falls even before I got home and called a few people and said, hey, I need to talk to somebody that's vegan, and I need to understand what vegan is, because I need to do something. I need to start fighting back. So I didn't know how to fight back. I mean, I just felt like everything was just happening to me. I got a surgery, and then I tried to heal, and then I had a second surgery, and I had to take shots, and I had to have immunotherapy, and I had needles stuck in my arm, and all this stuff was just happening to me, and what was I doing about it? I wasn't doing anything about it. I was just surviving. And I had always heard people talk about fighting cancer, and I didn't feel like I had been fighting yet. I was just surviving. And so now is when I decided I'm gonna fight. So what can I do? What can a person do to fight back against cancer? Well, this vegan thing was maybe my answer to my question. How do I fight? And now it's time for me to start fighting. If the medical field can't do it, if surgeries can't do it, if immunotherapy can't do it, what can I do to fight? Maybe there is nothing. So anyway, I got back to home, and I asked people if they knew anybody that was vegan, and nobody really knew anything. And so I just searched on the internet. What are you going to do? I searched vegan and cancer, or vegan and melanoma. And so I found this book. It's called Chris Beats Cancer. And I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go buy it on Amazon. But I actually didn't even buy the book. I just got the audio book, and I started listening to it. And he started going through his book and talking about eating a healthy diet, the fruits and vegetables that are cancer fighting. And I had never heard that fruits and vegetables can fight cancer. Which ones are they? I mean, I want to know. If there are fruits and vegetables that can fight cancer, I'm fighting. I want to fight. Give me those things and I'll start fighting. When I read that the first thing you do is to start juicing, which I didn't even know what juicing was, I decided, well, I'm going to go and buy a juicer. So I think it was the very next day I went down to Walmart and I found a juicer within my price range and brought it back home. And then I went and bought the fruits and vegetables that he said are cancer fighting. Beets and cabbage and orange juice and apples and carrots. And so I started just juicing them, and my family just looked at me like I was crazy. And I made a video, if you remember, I'll link the video description down below too, of what I did when I started juicing. And so that's what I started doing. I'm like, well, I'm going to start eating and juicing these fruits and vegetables that are cancer fighting. Well, I did that for a little bit, but kept reading, and I kept reading, and I would go to his website and I watched some of his YouTube videos on what he's doing and how he's doing it. And I implement them. As soon as I learn about them, I start using them because I'm fighting back. And then he interviewed this one lady, and she talked about her beating melanoma. And the way that she did it was, of course, using fruits and vegetables, but she had gone to a very specific diet called the Gerson therapy. And so I heard that, I'm like, okay, I need to learn about this. So again, I bought the book, the audio book, and I started listening to it. Now, the Gerson therapy is very, very strict. It has a huge list of things that you can and cannot eat. And so I took those lists and I put them on my phone so that I could look at them, every day if I needed to, and then go, okay, what's on my list of things that I can eat? And so I began getting very strict about what I ate. And in a nutshell, the Gerson therapy is no sugars. So I did not eat any more sugar of anything, any kind of sugar. No animal protein. I was getting protein from plants, but no animal protein. So no more hamburger, no more French fries that has oil on it. No chicken, no fish. And I went straight vegetables and fruit. Only plants. And then the Gerson therapy says, so it's no sugar, no salt. So I went also salt-free, no salt at all on anything. And I went, like I said, I went all in. I was fighting because it was my life and I had no other options. And the medical field hadn't solved it for me. So I said, well, then I'm going to do something. So I did. And I went all in and I didn't look back. So no salt, no sugar, no animal protein of any kind. And then what was the last one? No fats and oils. So those went out of my life. They were gone. Didn't care. Who cares? It's just stupid food. I can change my diet. I can eat healthy. So the thing that it taught me that I keep to this day is if cancer needs salt to survive, I'm not going to eat any salt. If cancer needs sugar to thrive, no sugar. If cancer needs animal protein, no animal protein. If cancer needs fat, no fat. I cut them all out. So in my body, I'm going to starve it to death. That's what I decided to do. I'm going to starve my cancer to death. And then I was going to feed all of my healthy cells nutrition. I'm going to get my body so healthy and get my immune system so strong and have my cancer cells so weak that they will kill off the cancer cells. That's what my idea was, but I didn't know whether that was going to happen, but that's what I had up here. I'm starving my cancer cells to death. Well, so I started on that program. And when I went to the Huntsman Center, they started me on a new program. They started injecting a t-vek. It's for melanoma. It injects fluid into the cancer cells and hopefully blows up the cancer cells. I started this Gerson therapy the very best that I could, even though I could not do everything. I tried my hardest to do everything. And after about a month or two, I just felt like I couldn't do it all. And it was too hard. It was too strict. But my family stepped up and helped me. My mom stepped in and said she would go through it with me. And so I had a partner that could feel bad for me because what I was doing, but I was drinking carrot and apple juice every single day, probably 8 to 12 cups of apple and carrot juice every day. And I did it religiously every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was fighting. And then I was not eating any sugar, any salt, any processed foods, no animal products, no milks, no cheeses, nothing with fat, nothing with animal protein. So I went about, 3 months, and I had changed my diet completely. I was doing this Gerson therapy, which is very, very strict and hard, very difficult, but I was fighting, and I wanted to fight. And so at about 3 months, maybe 4 months into it, because I've been going to the Huntsman Center every 2 weeks to get this shot called t-vek. And they were injecting this chemical into my leg, into all of the spots that they could see. And they would take a picture and they would circle all of the spots. I might throw it in here right here, but they would circle all the spots on my legs, and then they would inject this virus, actually, a virus into my skin so that it would go in and possibly blow up these cancer cells and they would die. So at about 3 months, I was feeling overwhelmed. I had worked really hard. Maybe it wasn't 3 months. It was maybe 5 months into this. And I was feeling really down, like I can't do it anymore because it's so hard. And the doctor said, it's time to do a biopsy. So what we're going to do is we're going to, inject all this stuff. Of course, we do again. And we were up to about 20 shots. I was getting about 20 shots in my leg to try and kill those spots. There were 20 spots. So we got about 5 or 6 months, I think it is, 4 months, I can't remember. And they took a biopsy, which is they numb my skin and then they take this really small, it's more like a pencil, and then they just poke it and then pull out that skin tissue, and then they send it off to the lab. So they had pulled that biopsy and sent it off. And the doctor told me, she said, usually at this point, there's no sign, any changes in your body. There's not going to be any change in this cancer. The most that we can hope for is that maybe some of the cancer cells maybe are starting to die. That is the best we can hope for. But she said, I have several patients that go a full year and don't see any change. There's no change. There's still spots all over on their leg, and they're still trying to get rid of the melanoma cancer. So she says, don't get your hopes up. This is just kind of a preliminary. Where are we at? How are you doing? So they took it, and I, of course, I was just like, how am I going to feel about this? What's the best that I can hope for? Maybe some cancer is starting to die. So a week later, she calls me on the phone. So this is now from March until probably July or August, I think, is when they did the biopsy. That's how long I had been doing this. She called me back and she said, the biopsy came back and all of the cancer cells were dead. All of them were dead. And which was huge news for me. And again, I was really low at that point, feeling like I was going to give up because it's just so hard. But she told me all the cancer cells were dead. And it gave me new life. And it gave me more fight. And I didn't stop. I stayed on my path of eating nutritious foods, not eating foods that would give cancer what it needs. So I've gone back several times now. This is probably a month and a half ago, and she told me that. And the next time we came back, after that biopsy, I went down to 15 shots. The next 2 weeks I went back, I went down to 10 shots. And the next 2 weeks I went back. And so I'm down to maybe 6 or 7 shots. And the doctor says, it's obvious that the cancer cells are dying. Your skin is clearing up. And so we don't need to do another biopsy in 3 months, which is now in October. We don't need to do a biopsy because we can tell the cancer is dying. And so I've been reading some more books. And one of them is called Eat to Live. All these books I'll put in the description. You can go and buy them. If you want to follow them, great. If you don't, I don't care. But if you're fighting, if you, not the doctor's fighting, but if you are fighting, then you go buy those books and you fight. Don't have the doctor fight. You do it. You go and find what you need to do and you fight, because surviving is not going to make it. Just surviving, nope. You got to go after it. You got to go all in. You got to fight back. I'm now to the point where the melanoma spots on my legs, they're going away. They're getting lighter. And I feel like I'm winning. And so people are asking me, I'll finish with this. People are asking me, when are you going to stop with this crazy nutso diet where you're only eating plants, no animal protein, no fat, no salt, no sugar? When are you going to give it up? I thought about that for a long time. And I'm not going to give it up. I am going to continue fighting. And I feel good. Look at my face. You can see I don't have fat anywhere on my face anymore. And I've gone down 2 pant sizes. I didn't intend on losing weight. But if you eat plant-based, whole food, you're going to lose weight. That's the byproduct. And so I don't have this fat anymore on my body. And I don't have salt and sugar. I don't eat anything processed. Everything I eat every day, everything is whole food. It is apples, oranges, carrots, beets. And they're not processed. They're not out of a can. They're not out of a bottle. They're not out of storage. They're not in a box. It is the original food. That is what I'm eating. So I wanted to give you that success story. If you are out there fighting, nope. If you are out there surviving cancer, I can't tell you that this will work for you. But if you want to fight back, you get those books and you find a way to fight. Because surviving is not fighting. Just letting things happen to you is not fighting. If you want to fight cancer, you have got to go after it. Do not feed cancer anything it needs. You deprive it of everything it needs to live. And then you get your body as healthy as it can be so that your body will fight back and your immune system will fight back and it will get rid of those cancer cells. So that is my video today. I'm sorry that I got so emotional, but it is. I want to be around for my kids. I want to see grandkids. I want to see my kids get married. I want to see my kids go to college. I want to see grandkids. I am not letting it happen to me anymore. I'm going after it, and I'm killing cancer. If you have questions or you want to know more about what I did, put a comment down below. I'll answer it because I'll give you some places you can go. But you've got to start fighting if you are. To all of you people that have helped me, I didn't know why or where those prayers were going. Where were all those prayers going? If I still had cancer, people were praying for me to not have cancer anymore. Now I know where those prayers were going. They were going to teach me, to show me, to give me everything I need to do to fight back. So I thank all of you that prayed for me because it helped me. Oh my gosh. Thanks for watching my video, everybody. I know that was a long one, but I had to tell you, give you an update. I've been scared to tell you about all this stuff because I was afraid that it wouldn't work and I wouldn't survive. But I'm surviving. I'm doing more than surviving. I'm fighting. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Dad. Bye.